I need your prayers this evening. I know how weak I am. When I can just be around God's people and see them get a blessing, it strengthens me. Feeds me. I've been trying to preach for over 10 years now. Never learned how. I guess I can say I have learned to lean on God.
Learn a little obedience.
I've learned that I can make a mess of things real quick.
That's right.
I've also learned that God takes pleasure in seeing His children rejoice. I believe that.
Yep, I do too.
We make an awful mess of things. But when we can come together and just pray, come together and pray, and truly desire a blessing from Him, it pleases Him.
I think so.
Believe me.
Why create that?
I know that we've got some missing, and my kids are sick, and it seems like they can't kick whatever this is. We've all got our excuses. But you know, my God decides in His infinite mercy when He sees fit to stir us up.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's more precious to me than that.
That's right. That's right. That's a good feeling.
And there's nothing that I'd rather feel in this world. You know what? If you don't get stirred up when God begins to move, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to consider that.
Yeah.
You know what? Like Chad was saying, it's not about the words that we have up here. Jesus said that preaching is the demonstration of the Spirit of God. And that it's not by the enticing words of men, but it is that demonstration of the Spirit. Think about that.
Yeah.
How do you demonstrate the Spirit of God to this world? You know, the best way that I can think of to demonstrate the Spirit of God, it is my everyday walk and talk. That is my sermon to this world here.
Yes.
My everyday walking and interacting with the people of this world, that is the best demonstration that I can give to them. And you know what? That doesn't mean, listen, that I'm going to be perfect here. That doesn't mean that I'm still not going to make a mess of things. Listen, you know what? It's like I've heard so many times. It's not about how hard you can hit, but it's about how many times you can get hit and keep picking yourself up. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. People striving, just trying to serve God. I know we're awkward. Listen, I know we're awful silly. Listen, in the way that we do things here. I've had people ask me that's heard me preach, why is it that you sound the way that you do? Heard people say it's sing preaching. This evening, the only thing that I can think to answer them is then when I open my mouth in the stand for the first time, that's just what came out. People, demonstration of the Spirit of God. Listen, you know what? When my first daughter was born, I don't know why this is on my mind. Listen, I want to feel good this evening. I want to preach this evening. Listen, when Gabby was born, I guess it's hard to believe. Going on 9 years ago. Listen, when everything was settled there at the hospital. Listen, Dad, me and you took a walk outside there just to get a breath of fresh air. And my wife was recovering, holding my daughter. And he took me out there, and we wasn't saying nothing, just kind of standing there. And he looked at me, and I've never forgotten this. He said, you know what, Jeremy, you don't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is that little baby in there. Listen, I may be awkward, I may not be the father that her friends are, the fathers that her friends have. I may not do things the way that they do, but the only thing that I know how to do is to try to lay down those stones along this path. Listen, just so that one day when Daddy's dead and gone, that she can look and see them, and she'll know that Daddy was just trying to serve Jesus the best way that he knew how. This world's got nothing for me.
That's right. That's right.
People,
You gotta help your
I don't
family.
know why. I feel so good this evening. I just feel like shouting a little bit. Listen, do you want to feel good? Well, what's keeping you from feeling good? I got news for you. It is yourself. Listen,
that's right.
Just get out of the way and raise your hand. Listen, and call up to him. Listen, I got news for you. There's no one in this building that was more unworthy than I was. Listen, I guarantee you, you ain't done nothing that I didn't do 10 times over. You're looking at someone. As soon as I turned 18 years old, I ran away from home. I was gone for months, Bob. Listen, you know what? I don't even remember being gone for those months. That's the condition that I was in. Party every night, have a good old time. But I remembered those little stones that Mom and Dad and Papa had laid for me. Listen, when I couldn't talk to Mom and Dad, when I'd lay awake at night, drunk and stoned out of my mind, my Lord would speak to me. Thanks be to God that He never gave up on me. Listen, what is it that's standing between you, listen, and a relationship with my Lord? You talked about religion. I don't care 2 cents about religion. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a personal relationship with my Lord. Listen, I'm not talking about this world's view of it.
No. What they call it.
Talking about what it was that would keep an 18-year-old runaway up at night thinking.
Yeah. Think about that.
When all the noise had died down, all hours of the morning, and I'd sit up and I'd look around me at my so-called friends, they were passed out all over.
They weren't there to help you, were they?
And I'd look at them and I'd feel so empty inside. And I'd feel something begin to move inside of me. I would feel something begin to stir me up.
Yeah.
Listen, you know what? Long time ago, there was a pool in the center of town. Listen, and it was called the Pool of Bethesda. Listen, and all the sick and afflicted would gather around this pool.
Yeah, they would.
Listen, all the lepers, all the crippled, all the rejects from that little area there, they'd gather. Listen, because it says that once a season an angel would come down and it'd stir that water. Listen, and the first man or woman that got there to that little pool and touched it, they would be healed from whatever ailed them. Listen, you know what? Jesus come walking to them. Listen, he wasn't with the high and mighty. He went to the byways. He went to where those rejects were. Listen, and you know what? He seen a man for 38 years. Listen, had been crippled, had been lame. Listen. And you know what? That man never spoke a word to Jesus. Jesus went to him, listen, and asked him, wilt thou be made whole? And it confused that man, confused him a little bit. And he said, I'm crippled. Listen, I don't have a master. When the angel comes and he troubles the water, somebody always beats me to it. Listen, listen, and it seems like I'm always just a step behind. I can't get to it fast enough. And Jesus looked at him. I didn't tell him to go to the pool. Listen, he was the pool. Listen, he was a wellspring. Listen, of water everlasting. And you know what? I didn't tell him to go dip himself. I looked at him and said, take up thy bed, rise and walk. Listen, you know what? That man took up his bed and began to walk right there. You know what? Doesn't say a whole lot about what he was thinking. Doesn't say a whole lot about it there because he went and the Jews come around him and asked him, why are you carrying your bed? Today is the Sabbath day. You're not allowed to do that. Judgment, just like that. And he told them, he said, but I was commanded to do so. And they asked him, they said, well, where is he? Who commanded you? And you know what? He turned around and Jesus was gone. Couldn't find him. He was gone. Didn't have a chance to even ask him who he was. But you know what? When I come back around, realized that my life was pretty much going nowhere. Realized that I had to make a change and quick. Because I probably was going to wind up in jail or dead. And I've spent many nights in the back of police cars. And you know, I remember those stones that I was talking about. I remembered when I was in church, even though I was lost and undone, I remembered getting stirred up in the back.
Oh yeah.
Somebody would say something, or I'd hear a song sung, and it would cut me, and I didn't like it. I didn't like feeling that. I felt weak, Brother Bob. And you know what? I was so full of pride that I couldn't stand for anyone to look at me and think that I wasn't strong. Listen, you know what? I started to get stirred up. Listen, and I remembered that. Just like that man, that leper, that cripple, after Jesus was gone, do you think that it's a coincidence? Where's the next place that he went? He went to church. Listen, because it said that Jesus walked in and seen that man there. Listen, when you get stirred up, where do you want to go? People, I know when I came back, I wanted to hold on to that feeling because it was the only comfort that I had. Was the only release I felt was when. Because you know what? That fear, that turned into a longing. It turned into a desire to want more of it. I wanted to feel that. I didn't want it to leave me when I stepped out the door.
No comparison with the other part either.
And you know what it says that Jesus, afterward, Jesus findeth that same man in the temple, in church. And he went to him. And he said one more thing. He had healed him at the pool. But this was different. He went to him and he said, behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more. He wasn't done with him. He healed his body. Now he made him whole.
Amen. Big difference.
There is a big difference in that. I'll get out of the way and let Dad come. I want Dad to preach. I want to leave him time. I've had that woman on my mind all week, it seems like. Randy's patient, Leuna. I got such a blessing out of that. Just seeing her feed off of it. Fed me.
Amen.
And I know we're not much of singers or preachers or anything like that, but it fed me to see her because she was hungry.
That's right.
She was desiring it. You know, I'll tell this and I'll get out of the way. Several years ago, I worked with a young man that had made some mistakes in his life. This was at Northfield Medical. He had spent some time in some detention facilities. I don't know what you want to call it, juvie or whatever. And he was a young man and he lost his parents at a young age. And he was raised by his grandma alone. And I started, over the time that I worked there, to develop a relationship with this young man. And he would come in my office there and he would talk to me sometimes. Didn't have anyone in his life, listen, except an old grandmother. And he came in one day and was telling me that his mama had been sick now for some time. And she was getting worse and worse. And he asked me, he said, I understand that you're a religious person, even though I don't consider myself one. He said, why do you think a God would take the only good thing that I've got in my life from me? The only thing that's kept me out of prison. He's going to take that away from me. And it crushed me down inside. What words could I have for it?
Lord.
And you know what? I began to tell him the story about Olivia and what we went through, and I'm not going to get into that. You know. And I told him that, you know, when my third daughter was born, I lost her and my wife for over 20 minutes. Without a heartbeat for over 20 minutes. In the hospital room there. And the only thing I could do was try to explain to him that for the weeks that followed, my natural nature wanted so bad to rush in and take her and lift her up and everything to be okay. And for me to take her home. Listen, but you know what? It was at the point to where I said, you know what? 3 weeks had gone by and she wasn't getting no better. 2 hospitals we'd had her in trying to get her better care. And they were telling me, listen, that she's probably not going to get to leave here. You need to prepare yourself. And you know what?
Oh my God.
And it got to the point to where I laid it all down in his hands and said, okay, I've been selfish. I've wanted it my way. I wanted you to lay your hand on her and heal her. And for me to take her home, but that ain't been working too good. So I'm going to try it another way. You do whatever you think needs to be done. If she's not going to grow up and know you, you just take her on home. That way I can get to hold her again one day. Listen, and you know what? It wasn't 2 days later that I got to take her home. People, oh my God, is real. Listen, I just call out to him. I don't deserve anything that my Lord's given me.
It's His good pleasure.
That's all He was waiting for, don't you understand? Just to call on to Him and say, it's in your hands, I've got faith. God, I've got faith. Listen. And I told him that little story. The only thing I knew to say was that we may not understand the way that God's Word.
That's right. That's right.
But we got to try to be faithful. And I began to ask him a little bit about his grandma. I said, tell me about her. She's a good woman. I said, does she ever go to church? And he kind of smiled a little bit and he said she's an old Baptist. Said she don't cut her hair. She wears dresses. You'll never see her in pants. Listen. He said she's been trying to get me to go to church ever since. Listen, I lost mom and dad. And you know what? I thought to myself, okay, now I got something to work with. Now let's talk. Listen, and you know what? I told him, I said, Jerry, you may not again, listen, to take your mama home out of that hospice room. But I'm going to go and see her one day. And you can't do.
That's right.
That's the good part.
That's right.
Listen.
Yeah.
And you know, my voice is about gone.
Come on. Close it out.
I told him, we talked, and he cheered up a little bit, and that was on a Thursday, I believe. Saturday night, I got a phone call.
Yeah.
I got a phone call, woke me up out of bed. It was about 2 in the morning.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't even know how he got my number, but it was Jerry.
Yeah.
And he told me, scared me. Said, Mr. Newsom, I'm so sorry to bother you. He said, well, I just had to tell you something that happened. He said they called us all in this weekend for Mama. And you know, his little apartment was right next to the little hospice where she was at.
Yeah.
He said, I hadn't slept in over 48 hours. I've been right there at her bedside. Listen, as she struggled to breathe and I was watching her die. Listen, and my heart was so bitter and so full of vitriol. Listen, and you know what? They finally made me leave and go next door to try to lay down for just a couple hours. Listen, and I fought them, but finally I gave in and I walked next door, and as soon as I laid my head down, I fell asleep. Listen, and he said, I didn't see him, but 5 minutes later, someone was tapping me on my knee. Listen, and I heard a memo humming an old song. Listen, and I sat up out of my couch, and Memo was sitting right next to me, rocking in her little recliner, and she was patting me on the knee and saying, I'm okay, don't worry, I'm okay. And I rubbed my eyes, and she was gone, and I ran next door, and they told me, Memo's gone home. She's left this world. Listen, and you know what he told me? He said, I'm going to church tomorrow.
Get that ticket.
Let's go ahead and sing if you want, or Dad, you come.
Been good.
And you know what? I don't know what the case may be with him. I haven't spoken to him in years. But I do know, if you're looking for evidence, if you're looking for a witness,
There it is.
what more could you ask for?
God knows what we need. He knows what you're hungry for.
Jesus said,
He knows how to talk to you.
blessed are
Just
you,
listen to it.
for you have seen and believed. But more blessed are those that have not seen and yet still believe. Come to me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. I haven't found much rest in this world, but I've got a promise that one day we're going to enter into that rest. That none of this is going to matter anymore. None of the troubles and the heartache and the burden is going to matter anymore. Because God is not slack concerning His promise. He's never let me down. He's never forgotten about me. Even though I don't deserve anything, He still reaches out and touches me.